Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. As you're probably aware, we're here today to talk about how Miura transformed their channel selling. So, who we'll be hearing from today? Myself, I am Lindsay Wilson. I'll be the host for today. I am our Senior Salesforce Enablement Specialist here at Torrent. We'll then be hearing from Margaret McKinney, who is our Manufacturing Practice Lead at Torrent. And also from Miura, we have Kyle Richards, who is their National Sales Manager. Quick overview of what we'll be covering on today's webinar. We're going to start with a company overview of Miura from Kyle. Then we're going to get into some of the challenges that they faced regarding channel selling. We're going to then pass it over to Margaret, who's going to show us the solution overview, and we're actually going to hop into a demo of that solution. And we'll wrap things up with some Q&A. So without hesitation, let's go ahead and pass this over to Kyle to hear more about Miura.
Right. As Lindsay said, my name is Kyle Richards. I am the National Sales Manager with Miura. We are a boiler manufacturer based in Rockmart, Georgia, but we're also a subsidiary of a large global manufacturing company. A little bit about myself, and then a little bit about our company and what we do in our Salesforce journey. I've been with the company for 7 years. That was before our transition onto Salesforce. So I was there for our homegrown system, our mini homegrown systems, and then through the entire transition over the past 6 years as we've sort of migrated most of our stuff over to Salesforce. So like I said, we are a manufacturer. We manufacture steam boilers in Georgia, but we're much more than that. So we have our factory, but then we have 7 or 8 offices throughout the country. So this is going to put into context a little bit all the different solutions that we had to come up with. We have our own maintenance team. We have technical support teams, engineering. All these people are kind of spread out throughout the country. And not only do we manufacture boilers, we have system designers, we do maintenance contracts in the field. We just started and launched our digital services platform to gather data from our machines from the field. So again, all these different aspects are going to put into context a little bit about how we use Salesforce and how we use the Experience Cloud. So as a manufacturer that sells through channel partners, we do about 30% of our business direct, and then 70% of our business is through channel partners. So for the last 4 or 5 years, all of our growth has been through our channel partners. So that has created a number of opportunities and a number of challenges. So one of the biggest challenges was our marketing team started spending a lot of resources to get all of these leads, and they would come in and then we would send them off to our channel partners, and we would hope that they were following up. We would follow up to make sure they were following up, but again, with the number of leads that were going out, it was difficult to manage and organize and get that follow through. Once they did have a lead and they were following up, and it came time to quote product, we had no idea what they were quoting unless they told us about it. So occasionally they would come back and they would have questions, to our engineers or our internal sales team. But really, especially when they were somewhat self-reliant, they were using their paper price books and quoting things out into the market, and we had no visibility, and that made forecasting quite a challenge. Technical support requests would come in to the technical support team, phone, email, text. None of this was really tracked. So as a sales organization, we would go out and meet with our channel partners, and we'd have no idea that they had these ongoing technical support requests that were coming in. And then at the same time, our channel partners were not getting good responses and follow through and resolution to a lot of these requests that were coming in. Dynamic pricing, as a lot of manufacturers can attest, the last 2 or 3 years have been a little crazy with trying to keep up with costs and market pricing. It's been a little bit all over the place. We have a long sales cycle, 12 to 18 months. So we put a price book usually out once a year. It's really difficult to try to keep up with the market when you're sending out a static price book. So we needed a solution for that. And then, like I mentioned, all of our growth has been going through our reps. So that has put somewhat of a strain on our internal support teams to try to keep up. All of the information, or all the requests for information, all of the documents, all of the quoting and engineering questions, that used to all funnel through sales or our technical support team. But again, it was a lot of time in just email and answering basic questions. So with all of these challenges, we went to Torrent and Salesforce and needed a solution. And I'll pass it over to Margaret to go over what they did.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we address some of these challenges that Miura was facing with their channel partners. So first of all, just to give a little bit of an overview, Miura did already have an existing portal for their channel partners, but it was very basic and didn't necessarily address all of those challenges and issues that they were having with their partners and keeping in touch with them. So one of the first things that we did was redesign the initial landing page of the portal and the overall look and feel of it to make it more user-friendly, giving the reps dashboards to see their status of leads, opportunities, project registrations, etc. In addition to that, Miura really wanted to be able to foster a sense of both community and competition with their channel partners, or as they call them, reps. So they also wanted to provide a leaderboard to kind of motivate the folks to see, can I be, on that list of top 5 partners of Miura? I want to see my name on that board, to give them that insight front and center. On the marketing side, they wanted to provide an events calendar. So we've got an events calendar there so that the reps can keep up to date with where is Miura going to be, what are the latest events, trade shows, etc., as well as announcements that might be relevant to the channel partners. They also enabled their partners to request marketing materials and marketing funds to be able to, bring more information about Miura's products to their customers. From a support perspective, to address some of those support issues, try to bring better visibility into the technical support requests, both from, the issues that their customers were having, as well as, issues that they maybe were having with the portal itself, making sure they have really good visibility into those, both from their perspective as well as Miura getting updates from them. So that two-way communication on issues, as well as giving them access right within the portal to the technical resource database to allow them to self-service and make sure that they have all the information at their fingertips about Miura's products that they need. From a community engagement perspective, we set up some new collaboration channels in the community for partners to both communicate with each other as well as with folks internal to Miura for valuable feedback, communication, the ability to post questions, but also comment and vote on questions to give them more visibility. Lastly, exposing quoting to the reps was a big feature to address some of those challenges around the dynamic pricing that so many manufacturers are seeing challenges with today. So first of all, giving them insight into what really is in stock right now, what could I potentially ship out to my customers ASAP, but also giving reps the ability to quote and configure products right within the portal. So this both allows the reps better visibility and tracking on their quotes, but also allows Miura to see what's out there, what's being quoted, and have better control over their price book so they aren't reliant on this printed price book once a year, but can adjust pricing dynamically as needed. From here, I'm going to go ahead and hop into the actual portal so you guys can get a flavor of what that looks like and what the experience is for a Miura channel rep. Give me 1 second here to get this pulled up. All right, so hopefully you all can see this. We are currently logged into the Miura portal as an example rep. When I log in initially to the portal, I'm presented with this page. I can get a quick view into everything I might need to know. So first of all, right at the top, I see some announcements. I know, okay, what's the overall goal for this year? How many boilers are in stock? I can quickly get to some of the actions that I might need to take right away. So for example, this car submission, which is submitting issues with that my customers are having, or warranty requests, things like that, as well as some other quick links for new leads or registering new projects and so on and so forth. As I mentioned before, we've got these dashboards front and center. So first of all, I can check where I'm at against the leaderboard of other channel partners, what I need to do to try and get on that board. And then on the right-hand side, I can get a quick view into what I need to work on within my portal. So for example, right here, front and center, I see I've got a lead that Miura's passed to me that I haven't touched yet. I should probably go take a look at that while I'm here. I can also take a look at, I've got a pipeline of open opportunities, of project registrations, and make sure that I'm tracking and continuing to update those. I had mentioned the events calendar down here. I can see both past events, for example, this craft brew conference that Miura was at, click into it to see some details, as well as events in the current month or in future months as well. So this first page just gives me a lot of information right as soon as I log in. From there, let's say I want to take a look at my support requests and see how are things going with that. I can head on over to the support tab here, and I'm quickly presented with any open car submissions that I've got. So any of those warranty requests, as well as any tech support requests that I've got in there. So you can see I've got a tech report request or tech support requests that I can take a look at the details of, add any comments onto it as if I need to. I also have a quick link here, just like I did on the front screen, to be able to create a new car submission for a warranty request. And that gives me a form to fill out with some required fields. Once I submit that, it would show up on my support page, and I can track that through the system. If I want to take a look at that lead that I noticed I hadn't touched yet, I can head on over to my sales tab and I get a quick view of everything I've got going on. So this was one thing that Miura wanted to make it really easy for the reps to have everything that they needed in single screens. So we made sure that these pages were customized to give them a quick view into certain pieces of information, but then the ability to dive in deeper. So for example, I'm seeing my untouched leads here, but if I want to look at all of my leads, I can click on some of these links down here. Similar for project registration. So I can see those open registrations. I can also see my open opportunities, what status they're in, what stage, and there's some, helpful hints for the reps to remind them, hey, this is what this means in the system. So let's say I want to take a look at that lead that I got. I can click on the lead's name. I can see some of their details, give them a call, send them an email. And once I mark this status is completed, kind of put in my lead source, but once I mark that as completed, it'll come off of those untouched leads, it'll come off of my dashboard. so I can move forward. Let's say I'm working on a project for one of my customers, and I want to see, what's out there that I can get them today, within a couple of days. What's in those the in-stock boilers? Will it fit their needs? So that's what this QSX tab is there for. Being able to give the reps the ability to see what is in stock right now. I can scroll through that list. I can see some of the specifications, and I can determine, will any of these boilers that are in stock fit my customer's needs? In this case, none of these boilers are quite fitting the bill for my customer. So I want to make sure that I've got all the specifications I need to configure the right boiler for my customer. Before I head on over to update my quote, maybe I check out that technical resource database that we talked about. That resource database has lots of documentation in here to enable the channel partners or the reps to be able to sell the Miura products and know what it is they need to put together for their customers. So for example, I know my customer needs a boiler. I can go into products and boilers, and I have all this different pieces of information that I can look at. So for example, I might need to look at some spec sheets to make sure I've got the right specs for my boilers. So I can check out those resources before I finalize my quotes. If I head on over to the quote tab, this is where we have exposed Salesforce CPQ to the reps within the community. I see I've got one quote that started right here. I can click ahead into that. I can see some of my overview information, some of the quote terms, the overall amounts. But if I want to just validate my configuration of the actual product, I'm going to go ahead and click into add and edit product. And I'm presented with the CPQ quote configurator. I've got a product configured in here. I can validate, do I have everything in this product, this boiler project that I need? Do I have the pricing in here that I was expecting? A couple features in here that I want to highlight. Miura has tried to make it really easy for the reps. So they've included some automatic discounting to make sure that they're already taking into account some of those standard discounts that they provide. But then also, if there's additional discounts needed, there's some automated approval processes that will kick off as the reps edit their projects here, so that there is that, again, that two-way communication between internal Miura providing approval to discounts and such, as well as their reps, so that there's much more real-time communication around all of that, as well as, of course, the ability as you add products or look through the catalog to make sure that those products are the most up-to-date prices. So heading on over to the community tab here, this is where reps within the community can collaborate with one another and folks inside of Miura to ask questions, to have some discussion. You'll notice right here, the default is ask an engineer. So let's say, you found some of the information you needed in the technical resource database, but there's still some outstanding questions. Maybe I can come in here and ask, looking into boiler ABC, and I can put in the details of my questions, maybe add some topics to help boil it up. And I can also scroll through the other questions that other people have within the community. I can check out these other groups as well. For example, the discussion board between partners. I can post some product feedback if there's products that I see my customers asking for, or features that I see my customer asking for that I'm not seeing with Miura's products yet. Maybe I can put in a suggestion here. The other area that Miura has exposed to the partners that allows them to get a lot more information and resources is this marketing tab. there's a lot contained in here. First of all, there's some marketing videos that are available here that they can click into and watch to learn a little bit more about Miura. In addition, there's some quick links up here for various requests or pieces of marketing information. So for example, this marketing media can links to a Dropbox where the rep can download some marketing material, as well as this new co-op request generates records such as these that allows the rep to request marketing funds for various purposes. With this report here, they can track which of those co-op requests have been approved, which of them have I actually used, how many funds has Miura provided to me this year. It really brings more visibility into how Miura is helping their channel reps. In addition to that, another cool feature that we were able to build into the community is this marketing material request. So let's say you want to make sure that your channel reps are able to have brochures and swag available to give to their customers as they do their own, on-site visits and such. Let's say I, as a rep, want to make sure I have a couple of these brochures on hand. I can select one or more brochures that I might want to use, and I can go ahead and add them to a cart. Maybe I also want to have some swag items, so I can hop on over to the swag tab. Maybe I want some pens and a couple tumblers for some giveaways. I can go ahead and add those to my cart, and then I can indicate, okay, how many of these do I want? I think I'm going to need a good number as I make some of my visits coming up here. I can put all of that in, and then I can go ahead and submit that, and that will go straight back to the Miura marketing team so that they know what do they need to ship out to this given channel partner. So as you can see, this portal really gives the reps a ton of great resources and functionality to help enable them to continue growing their business with Miura, as well as kind of compare and compete with their other reps that are in the field and see where they stack up against them. All right. With that, I will hop back over to the slides and hand it back to Kyle to talk a little bit about the outcomes.
Thank you, Margaret. Hopefully that was helpful to everybody. So like Margaret mentioned, we were already on Salesforce. So, on our big Salesforce journey, we started with sales. Then we slowly started adding other departments onto Salesforce. So our technical support team, our engineering team, our accounting team, our logistics, our production team, right? Slowly but surely, everybody got onto Salesforce. So after, the missing piece was this channel partner piece. So once this Experience Cloud was developed, there were a number of interesting outcomes. I think the biggest one was better access to and better direct access to the support teams. So a lot of times, I think a lot of people on the call are on the sales team. So every question would end up coming through the sales team before this. But because of this portal, now they have, if they need something on marketing, they don't just have to ask the sales team and then go to the marketing team. They have direct access to the marketing team. They have direct access to the engineering team. Those technical support requests go right to the technical support team. Those warranty requests go right to the production warranty team. So there's a lot better collaboration with the field dealers directly to the departments that they need to get in contact with. And it saves the salespeople a lot of time from having to answer every single question, as well as having that whole technical resource library, right? The reps are now much more self-reliant when it comes to accessing drawings, information, spec sheets, brochure, all of those media kits that we've exposed, whether it's logos or case studies or brochures. They all have one place to go and access all of that information. So we've had a lot less, I guess you would call it basic requests that have to come through email, which we all hate. So that's been a big deal. I would say the second biggest impact was the CPQ being exposed. So we have visibility into what all of our dealers are quoting. This has been huge, not only just for the sales team, but the engineering and sales and technical support teams are all able to collaborate on the quotes. Ours are, fairly engineered, complex systems. So when a rep is quoting them, they don't have to email it around. The engineers can see exactly what they're quoting. They can help them with drawings. They can help them with specs. And our demand planners and production team now have so much better information about what's being quoted. So forecasting has improved drastically. And I'm sure everybody on the call, if you're in sales, know that forecasting is something we all do, and it's difficult. But now having direct access to what is actually being quoted throughout the whole country, and seeing orders as they go through the sales process and what's getting closer and closer, we don't have to just wait for the PO and then react and start planning for material and production schedules. So we can plan many more months in advance now. So that's a big deal. Not only has there been collaboration with the reps to us, but amongst the reps as well. So they used to just be emailing questions to each other, but now they have a place to go onto there and talk to each other. And it's kind of interesting because we can see the questions they're asking each other, and then sometimes they turn around and ask us if they don't get an answer from the other partners. And then that homepage, it shows the leaderboard. So I wasn't sure how that was going to play out when we put it on there, but I'll tell you, towards the end of the year, I was getting calls left and right to see who was going to be on the leaderboard next week, who had orders that, we're going to bump them up. So there was a lot of scrambling to try to get into that top 5. We give out awards, I think, for the top 3 or 4. So towards the end of the year, that we had a flood of orders to make sure that people were on the leaderboard. So that gamification leaderboard really works. Yeah, I think, Torrent and Salesforce doesn't know this, but as we use it more and more and see these great outcomes, we have a lot more stuff planned in development over the next couple of years, right? We're going to keep adding to it as we find interesting ways to utilize it. So thank you.
Awesome. Can't wait for that then, Kyle. So speaking of, actually, I do have one quick question. So obviously it's quite expansive what you're doing on Salesforce, but could you quickly just tell us which actual Salesforce products that Miura is currently using, Kyle?
Yeah, so again, we started with Sales Cloud, right? We just had the sales team on there. Then we added marketing quickly after that. So we have what used to be called Pardot Marketing Cloud. We added Service Cloud to get all this technical support requests and have a case ticketing system. CPQ, obviously, we started CPQ internally, and then we opened it up. And then, of course, Experience Cloud that kind of tied all of that together to be able to collaborate with our partners. And we have plans for many more down the road.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, well, reminder, if you have any questions right now, feel free to put those in the Q&A spot. I will start to work through the few that we've gotten so far. So one more for you, Kyle. I know you talked a little bit about the outcomes, but specifically, what has the feedback been from your dealers and distributors?
That's a good question. I was actually very worried about this. A lot of our distributors are very old school, right? They're boiler service companies or mechanical service companies. Some of them still use carbon copy and dot matrix printers. So I was very worried about migrating a lot of the stuff that was calls or emails onto this portal. But I'll tell you, even the most old school reps from day one were getting on there. Part of the problem in the past was getting quick access to information. Now that they can just log in and have all of this access to all these different departments, it's the reaction's been great because they've kind of felt like we've opened up not just the resources, but the other departments, and they have direct access to it. So I think we're getting a lot more work done a lot faster.
That's amazing. This one, I believe, Margaret, maybe you can you talk to us about the implementation of a portal like this? How long did it take and how complicated was the project?
Great question. So in terms of Mura's implementation specifically, we did not tackle this all in one phase. It was multiple phases to, first initially get the portal kind of freshened up, get some of those dashboards in place and so forth. But then building upon that, then adding in the quote functionality, adding in some of the marketing material requests and those kind of more customized features. I know talking to Kyle and what his feedback from the channel, they were a little bit nervous at first, making the switch all at once with all of that functionality. Maybe you would do something a little differently next time, knowing that they were so excited about everything. So I think it really just depends on how much you want to bite off right at once. I would say a portal of this size with everything that we went through, it's not, a couple weeks to stand up. It takes usually a few months to get up and running and make sure that it's really working smoothly, has a really good user experience, has all of the right security and features that you need. So it depends on, one, the architecture already being set up in Salesforce in the back end, and then two, getting the look and feel and the right visibility up for the users. So it does depend depending, on the functionality, but usually, a couple months to a couple more to get that up and running.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, after implementing all of this, I guess, Kyle, this question is probably for you. How did you roll out the training of this portal to your dealers?
Good question. So, part of that 2 to 4 month process that Margaret was talking about, it wasn't all just development, right? There was a couple of weeks of training us internally, right? So getting, of course, myself, I'm in charge of Salesforce, trained, and our Salesforce admin trained, but also our regional support people trained as well. So we did hold a rep wide or distributor wide training, but then those individual people that support those different regions of distributors were trained by Torrent, and then so they can provide ongoing training and more individualized training for their situation. So we're constantly training on new things, but that's kind of the beauty of it, is we can get on there together and work things out.
All right, I have one more for now, unless any others come through. Let's see, this one, probably Margaret, maybe you could answer this one. Can you elaborate a little bit on some other features and functionalities that other manufacturers are exposing through a portal?
Sure. So I think it really depends on, how are you interacting with your channel partners? What's most valuable for you to get from them? One thing that is a great feature of Manufacturing Cloud and Experience Cloud is the ability, if you're leveraging Manufacturing Cloud sales agreements and companies forecasting, exposing the agreements that you have with your channel partners and being able to collaborate on those and gain visibility on, how are they holding up on their agreement, as well as, if you have a more, mature, as setup where you want to expose, a Commerce Cloud type setup, that's another area that we might see and added to the community as well. I think a lot of what Miura has is going to be common across a lot of manufacturers in terms of, giving visibility into support, into sales and quoting, and then, maybe expanding upon that, just warranty, the warranty process, and expanding on some of the functionality and visibility around that as well.
Okay, let's go ahead and move forward real quick, wrap things up. Huge thank you for your time joining us today. It was awesome to see that demo. Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I hope you all have a lovely afternoon.